with each other.
I feel very strongly connected to my mother. Although we've never met, I was given up for adoption at birth. I feel a great connection to her over many miles that I don't know how many miles, but I feel we have the same strength, so hopefully we'll meet one day.
I know one thing. There's a link between mother and their children, and that is something etherical.
I feel connected to my mother in a way that I feel connected to my children because I am a mother. And I feel that it's something that no matter what you think or how you feel, whether you love your mother or hate your mother, you will always be connected that way.
I think I'm connected to my mother in a lot of ways. When important things happen in my life, I feel like I have to share them with her. And part of it is just because I love her, and parts of it are also because I feel like I'm giving something back to her for all the things that she gave me. So I can share the good things and the bad things and let her know that I still care about her, and she really likes that.
I think that I am disconnected from my mother. You can see little spots from when I was sick recently, and I had to be sick without my family. Disconnection.
I'm not connected anymore, but and my mother isn't alive, but I feel more connected now that I'm older and realize that as a mother, it's not all that easy to bring up children and have them love you and care for you, and maybe it takes a little time away to realize how great they are and what they give you, and you become closer as you get older.
Here's the lint.
My mother died when I was 7, but I still feel really connected to her. Like, just through, like, emotionally and stuff. And although I don't really have anybody for a mother right now, but I love my mom a lot.
I work for Greenpeace, so I'm kind of connected to a larger mother. I love her and I see her all the time.
Psychically, emotionally, psychologically, otherwise unattached. I think of her fondly. We are good friends, but then there's no other attachment other than we are good friends.
I'm connected to my mother by an eternal spirit that I believe is undying, and maybe through my body and hers, such as my belly button, where I was once connected to her from birth, I still am.
She used to clean my belly button for me.
She deals with life in a really simple way, and I'd like to deal with life in a simple way, and it puts me in a good state when I'm around her.
Here's the lint.
How are you connected to your mother?
How am I connected? I'm connected to her in mind and in spirit.
Glasses that don't shine. satisfied.
Oh, just the other day. You don't mean you thought that I could live anywhere ever without Mother?
Why didn't you tell me?
I wanted to so many times. But you seemed so far away. I couldn't somehow. I was afraid.
These days, I have to take a plane to reach Mother Love. 1,200 miles over mountains, relief maps of clouds, and sinuous snakes of rivers dried up and dammed, but still flowing. November 7th, 1985, 9 months after the nervous breakdown. I dreamed my mother stood in the yard, a yard very much like my father's yard in Colorado, except it was her yard. I came towards her and noticed she wielded a large knife. Struggling to get the knife away so she wouldn't damage herself, she made several small but painful jabs into my fingers. I pulled away knowing I couldn't get it from her and watched as she lopped off her left hand. No blood, just a stump where her left hand would be. I left, looking for my family outside the gate beyond the bushes. When we arrived at the house of a friend for dinner, we were told my mother had been running through the woods, stabbing people with her knife. My mind's eye gave me a rushing by of trees as if for an instant I were running through the woods. Just then my mother found her way to the kitchen and stood there, threatening me and my sister with the knife. Meanwhile, the man friend of ours traveled around the other side of the wall, my mother's back to him while my sister kept her occupied in the other direction. I stood some distance from his point of view, watching as he grabbed a large table knife and stabbed my mother in the back. He did it. I didn't do it. She fell bleeding to the floor, and the three of us helped lift her into the refrigerator. Before closing the door, I noticed a pool of blood on the white surface of the interior that grew and grew. St. Anne was the mother of Mary, the Virgin Mother. The last thing I ever wanted to be told was that I looked like my mother. No, I looked like my father. No, I look like my father. Didn't think her breasts would grow so withered since that last accidental glimpse outside the shower curtain. It will take more than irrigation to revive them. The plump, ripe bounty, subcontracted, overgrazed, working years in an office, one breath above minimum wage.
Give me another chance. It's your fault as much as mine. You've got to help me, Mother. Just this once. No. I'll change. I promise I will. I'll be different. No. Just give me another chance. It's your fault I'm the way I am. Help me.
Sometimes from the sheer dust of travel, a bone appears, the relic of a goddess, predating Similac, Silicon, and country clubs. A fragment of her glorious body, that mountain rage, the forest ocean of abundant heartbeats.
anybody I ever knew.
Do you, Laura? Do you really?
Oh, of course, except my mother.
A few weeks later, we stood on Mo and Peter's porch in Seattle, shooting off fireworks and howling at the moon. I didn't know I was pregnant, but the cells were already multiplying. Hey, listen to this. New York Times, Sunday, October 24th, 1993. Researcher clones embryos of human in fertility effort. A university researcher in Washington has, as an experiment, cloned human embryos, splitting single embryos into identical twins or triplets. Do you believe this? This appears to be the first time such a feat has been reported. The scientist reported his work at a recent meeting of American Fertility Society. The experiment was not a technical breakthrough since he used methods that are commonly used to clone animal embryos, but it opens a range of practical and ethical questions. I'll say. For example, since human embryos can be frozen and used at a later date, it could be possible for parents to have a child and then years later used a cloned frozen embryo to give birth to an identical twin, possibly as an organ donor for the older child. It's really insane. Can you tell me what you drew?
It's you and the baby in your belly.
Dr. Anders, Dr. Anders, Dr. Anders, Dr. Anders delivers. 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 Delivers. Dr. Anders delivers. Dr. Anders delivers. Delivers. Dr. Anders delivers.